one I need to dig into as per the risks. Of course, there should be many more things that might surprise me as well during the audit. And I, just breaking into parts, a decentralized exchange might have this, an NFT market might have this. Trusted bridge, one of my favorites, might have this one. And governance project and third-party dependent projects. This one I was talking, nowadays it's very common to build something on top of another. And I was saying about the butterfly effect. So in case you spot something on the parent one, it's likely you will have a medium one on the child project. A very good example is like liquid staking derivative projects, and they are depending on each other. They are coding as per rocket pool, as per synthetic Ethereum, as per curve, as per not anymore. Okay, and unless it's like having a custom logic like agent layer, they're getting having bugs on it. So what I'm trying to say in overall, we are digging for the developer falling into these pitfalls, and we are trying to find the logical errors of the developer. Okay, it's not one guy. There is a team just across you. You're trying to break the logic. We are trying to find the mistake of them. But just those counterparties are human being as well. So we are only being fed by human errors, I can say. So there is one chance that we might find one. If we don't, that's a quite good thing for the industry. It's a win-win situation actually. Either you win or the industry wins. That's something cool actually for me. So
that's
how do
really
I review
cool.
code? Thank you. How do I review code base? I don't have weapons. I have some tools like everybody has, like VS Code. I'm using the Ethereum Security Bundle extension, good old Remix, my best, and Bookmarks extension to keep the notes, and sometimes Slither in case the contract compiles. I'm just checking to see what else it's bringing me, what else I might have missed. Otherwise, I don't, when I first started, I had zero knowledge, so Slither was my shield, so I was trying to get to scope everything in the Slither, okay. And it was a good teacher actually. And after some point, you can understand it is only a script, and you don't want to be a script kiddie, and you want to reason everything and be a good auditor actually. So this Slither and this automated stuff actually is not for the auditing base, but for automating things that the human beings can miss. Okay, so my typical auditing time, actually, I have 3 because I don't have time. And when I first started, I was so passionate. I was so passionate until I was demotivated due to a surgery I had been taken. And I was very excited. And I was sharing my, 4 or 5 hours after workout. So every day I was going to bed like 2 a.m. and waking up at 6 a.m. And it took like 2-3 months, and it is not scalable, I can say, in your real life. And I was working also at the weekends, not all, but I was trying to work, because once you have a family, once you're not single, it's kind of difficult. So I had like 3. So I expect people to understand what I might be doing wrong. So in case you're doing these things, you are not on the right thing. You're not on the right way. So there is one right way, which we will see actually, to audit the code base. First of all, my motivation is just to sit on the same table with the wise guys, I can say. Because when I first started, there were top 30 of Code Arena. We were competing in the contests. And it was like seeing the Michael Jordan on the same court playing against him, and maybe possibly having a selfie on the leaderboard after all, announced. So I was having the same feeling actually, and I was kind of lucky to see all these guys. So I was excited. I was reading the project documents thoroughly, and I was diving into the code base after reading those. And for me, I was asking everything why and how, because I really did not know how. because I did not have any coding experience. So these hows and whys, they were not like in the context of auditing. I really did not know, but it became a habit to me. So I was doing everything, and you will see I am putting everywhere one audit tag to check for again, to validate what I might have found. And again, I was returning the docs and getting lost, and time is running out. So I was just submitting the last minute, and actually it brings nothing. And if you are lucky enough to have the results like in 3 weeks, you might get to know what you are doing wrong, unless you had a backstage access. Those times that there were nothing. So I was lucky enough to have the backstage access like around May last year, and I can say, give the guys the right. Alex, the judge, is amazing. I was reading all through his comments on my report, so I was just developing myself by the comments, I can say. Of course, by our colleagues' reports. I was, crazily reading the reports of, 52 Trust or Burnt or Lambda. So these guys teach me a lot. So I appreciate all from here. So my second typical audit, like I'm not excited so much. This is my second time. I was learning the context, but don't dive deep into the docs. It was like a coincidence. Later on, I understood like diving deep into documents gives you bias. So you are actually assuming something that the developer wrote is correct. So to break this one, many guys recommend not to read the docs. Many guys also recommend read the docs. So I'm trying to find the balance in between. So reading the context and making a risk analysis and diving into the code base and returning back to the documents, it fits better on me, I can say. And once I find a nice issue, I would submit. And since I was revealed a little bit, I never thought about the remaining issues, and I was like this afterwards. And the third typical auditing time of me is, this one is difficult, but I was doing this one at my very first, starting ages, years, last year, like April and May. Because that time I did not have that surgery, and I was motivated. Discovering things around was really cool, because there were but there were really less and less documents around. Now you log into crypto Twitter, and every time you will have a CTF of somebody's custom CTF. Find the bug. Some guys share the alpha finding, the alpha term, alpha finding, and somebody's posted his winnings or finding. That's actually quite good for the industry. I'm really happy for this to happen. Before I was, just going through the code bases, trying to understand the context and the logic, and the cool guys, the OGs were so busy to answer your question. So it is now easy. Now it must be easy for us to spot a bug, but at the same time, the code base is also evolved, and it evolves like logarithmically, and it is 10 times more difficult like they did before. But I'm really happy for the industry. It becomes, there is dilemma. It becomes really good for security, and it becomes really bad for the security, because these complications is our friend as a this chaos is our friend as a bug hunter, as an auditor. But same with the black hat. So it might lead to the compromising of a project as well. The same thing. So how I read the code bases actually. First of all, I find the entry point for the end user, how the user will react to the smart contract on the UX, on the UI, sorry. And on the country part, I was finding the same entry point for the contract owner, like the factory contract or clone contract. How does it work for when the user submits a payload? So, and I'm going through every detail, like is the contract utilizing tokens, and what are these tokens? What standard, and are they compatible with each other? Is the code compatible with this standard? And finally, once I dig into the functions, I am just checking to the last state variable, so that I need to know all the functioning, how the state is changing. So at that time, like 5-6 pages are open. Like, I I'm validating these things at the beginning, and there is an internal function here. I'm going to that function, open one more window. If there is any more internal function there, I'm again clicking that one, and it goes all the way with 5, 6, 7, and I have the chance to make an own flow on my screen. And it is the best if you have like one white screen monitor. But if you don't have it, it's all okay. But it will just give some headache to find out where you found that code.
You think the
Um,
widescreen monitor helps you see more code at once? That is the point.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I was
Nice.
referring to that one, and not that one. Also, sometimes I'm using one more screen just to see the structs, because, or A4 size, A3 size paper, because there are really different code bases. They have structs, and all those structs are nested. They have one more structs inside another, and it's kind of troublemaker for not to miss out those. So sometimes I'm only using one screen to see these structs where they were referred. And just one thing, the guys who are transitioned from web to security, or they are, you know, just web to developer, they don't miss this updating these structs. I noticed that one while I was doing this pre-sorting, and just as the statistics for information, I may have pre-sorted more than like 6,000 submissions now, so they never misses this updating the structs. But regular guys like me, I may have missed those as well. Yeah, and I am validating the imports of the libraries. I'm checking the correct usage of OpenZeppelin libraries, like pausable or ownable contracts. Many times it's an issue that people don't realize that they need to implement an external function which calls pausable, pause function of the Open Zeppelin's library, and they end up with a contract which cannot be paused. So, like this, we have many things, like even the ownables has same different scenarios on those. Inconsistent mathematical operations. That is my best, actually, because I love maths. I am voluntarily checking the math operations on the Remix, and I have many test files on Remix, and all with the math operations. And a couple of times I spotted some solo medium findings, and it gives good feeling, actually. And I'm checking if the code base is compliant with the AIIPS, whether, sometimes it should return false but reverse, so it makes it impossible that another project can be implemented on top of that project. So these kind of medium things, I'm just checking whether they are. And of course, meanwhile, I am trying to check any logical errors which the developer might have missed, like implementing. If there is no withdrawal function, this is the basic thing, or if there is no setter function for some admin or owner, I'm trying to locate this one, and it might return that they already missed, because many times developers assume that the things will be just very soft, and assume that everything will be peaceful, and our priority, our duty is just to break those assumptions, and many times we break it. So what is the keyword trigger, actually? So what we should do? Uh, I can totally relate my experiences like we need to digest what we read. There cannot be any last minute review or part-time auditing, which I did many times as well. I'm not auditing the competitive audits. I'm not contributing to competitive audits like 7 months this year. I'm having some privates, and also I'm in the other security firms, which gives me more room to think about it. And I can feel like, yeah, what we are doing is now in the competitive auditing is a horse race, and we are just trying to, finish the game. But the game is not having its value at that time. So what I suggest all the colleagues, like, if you have a plan in your mind, please do your plan. Like, read the code base and wait another 3-4 days, and refer to the documents, and again read the code base. And mostly you might find some good submissions, some good findings during the submissions. And this phenomenon occurred to me also, as well as many other colleagues which I talked to. The guys who are really focusing into their code bases, like 3-4 days, and digesting, they are giving good results. And this digesting issue, I didn't find it actually. Gerard Pearson, the most alpha, one of the most alpha guy, he suggested me to just digest the code base, try to understand. So he told me that he found his best finding when he woke up, because he was dreaming those. This phenomenon is nice for us, just good to try. I'm trying those one for my last 2-3 private audits, and it gives me the best results, I can say. And of course, we are only competent up to what we know. So if you want to audit a code base, first we need to know what we are doing actually. Yeah, we already want, many of us, we want to be auditors. I mean, from zero, it goes to zero for many people. But once you're zero, it's very difficult to grasp all the things at once. And we are just hungry to audit the code base. And it gives us bad results, and it breaks our motivation. So every time I am recommending this to the guys who are visiting my DMs, either on Discord or on Twitter. Just read so and so topics, read twist one, and later on you can do whatever you like. Many of them achieved, many of them did not talk to me later on, because it's not an easy thing to start from the zero. And I respect to the guys who did it from zero, like 52. He's a god actually for me, a big motivation for me. Yeah, and I think that's all about for me now, because I don't
Bro,
have so many things actually.
that
Thank you.
was amazing. Thank you so much. A lot of alpha, a lot of information. I have 1,000 questions for you. I'm gonna start with being a captain. I imagine is a very systematic job, so you have to be aware of all kinds of failures that could happen, all kinds of checks. How that relates to what you do today?
Yeah, very good question actually. Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for your kindness first. Being a captain is a suicidal action, I can say, because I was a captain of a VLCC, and when she was fully loaded, it is close to 500,000 tons. And when she's going full speed, if you want to go and stop, there are no brakes, and in in 10 kilometers it can only stop if you go full astern. And that gives you the idea that you should be every time one step ahead of everything, maybe two, maybe three, because now you have the human factor. They can create many issues without your knowledge. You're on the top of the bridge and something going on the engine, and you should know that one. So with this perspective, I can say auditor also is alone, and a captain is also alone. So what I regret actually not to be inside a team. So there should be a team to have a good teamwork to for the success actually, because doing everything alone is not feasible, is not possible every time. I mean, and will not give you the other good practice of other people. So we can see many people who started, alone, teamed up with nice brains, brilliant minds, and ended up with being pioneering leader of the audit. I mean, pioneering auditor. And I think this is the same. There should be teamworks to audit the code bases. I really believe the teams.
Amazing, buddy. I think Ipray and Chris have questions. Guys, you have questions?
Sorry, not sorry. Okay, I think I did pay attention to every other part of the slide, but I missed that part of risk analysis. Yes. Although you did mention along the line on how to fit in the position of the user. Imagine yourself trying to provide into a protocol and what reward you're expecting at the end of the day, and if you do get the expected reward. So that's why I want to ask questions relating to risk analysis. So very recently, I've been engaging in a contract has to do with reward system, and then the issue of risks came up. Actually, is a vault related project. So I want to know how you try to picture the risks involved in a protocol, especially. Say, for instance, you're engaging in a vault-related project where you need to provide an expected amount. Say, for instance, I think win-win protocol for Code of Arena, you're expected to provide an expected amount to a protocol. And on providing that expected amount, how do you try to imagine the risk while auditing? How do you try to picture, okay, if I'm providing this expected amount to a protocol, how much reward should I get? I think for win-win protocol, a person needs to meet a certain period of requirement before he gains. So how do you picture it in the aspect of a user?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Ephraim. Nice to meet you. You're asking how I'm picturing the risk in the aspect of a user, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. As a user, I don't think that many of the users have the technical knowledge. They only are provided the user interface and they are acting accordingly. This is a regular user. But if we are referring to a developer who is contributing to the contracts, using the contracts through their terminal, there is a thin line for that user. Either they will know what they are doing, or they might do some protocol leakage out of that one, or they will not know and they can lose their assets, I can say. When I
So
was
let
doing
me
this,
put it this way. Sorry. Say you're not a user this time, or you're an investor, and because you're an investor, you own all the money. You know you can provide, say, $50,000 into a protocol, and this protocol should yield you uh, equally 50%, say $50,000 in return. So how, as an investor, not a layman user, how do you want to invest so much? Like, say, for instance, you're providing or trying to find out a medium-based issue. You see people writing POCs and they're providing a very huge amount. How do you picture it in that regard? How do you know, okay, this is the expected amount I should make into this protocol? How do you know you should make provision of just one way or 10 ways or 100 ways into a protocol and you hit bigger reward? And we've seen instances where people just provide huge amounts through getting a flash loan, and after getting a flash loan, they have to provide little amount to the protocol and they get maximum, like they get way more than the expected reward. So how do you picture it in that regard and then create your POCs?
okay. I think I haven't grabbed that question fully. So
Maybe you can write
you're
it.
asked, yeah, it will be best actually.
Maybe if you can write it, would be a little bit more, because your mic is a little bit off.
All right,
Awesome. Chris, you have a
I'll
question?
write it.
Yep. So I believe you touched a bit on it, but how exactly do you deal with like imposter syndrome and feeling that you are like not good enough? Like you said that you are not feeling
Great
very
question.
well and personal stuff, but yeah, I wanna hear about it. Yeah.
Yeah, great question actually. If one of my finding is invalidated, it's still getting invalidated in the contests. I feel like shit. I will not kid because this is due to I did not have spared the time correctly, and I did not show due diligence, and the judge made his part, and he gave me a very good result. But I am taking the good part of it because if you quit at the beginning, then you will not be listening to these posts. It might have happened the worst to me because I didn't know anything. But uh, one judge, Alex, he told me very nicely that I will be very, very sorry due to these results, but later on, it will be all good. So I'm trying to get the best part. Okay, your invalidated finding is just passed, and there are many projects coming, and with many different mindset developers, and with many different bugs in it. So once you focus on the other one, once you learn this invalid finding is an invalid thing, actually that's a gain for the guys who is improving himself. I'm trying to see the positive part. Else there are many things to be sad for really.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Bro, one question I have for you is, so you have this amazing story into smart contracts. I mean, a part of you at least gotta be thinking about gold. I mean, were you first investing in crypto and then you decided to open a smart contract, or you heard about security? I mean, how did you got tangled and how did you saw that you could do it, that you had a finding or something?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, actually, I was a trader back in 2017, and until I realized that not your keys, not your coins thing is real, I lost close to $500,000 in a centralized exchange.
Wow.
So I didn't bother because I said this, crypto is volatile; it can happen anytime. And next year, I was a co-founder of a project which makes some tools on top of the Uniswap, and we were actually uh, fundraising. And the last day, our fundraiser partners just rug pulled. So that was the second time failure for me on the other side of the crypto. And I said this will not work out like this. Okay, I will not dig in more in crypto. But 2020, the pandemic, this COVID-19, changed many lives. There was not in good words, but mine was changed very nicely because I was trapped home like 10 months. I didn't do any I did not have any better option to start coding. So I just typed, I just saw a video of, I guess he was Moshe Hamadani, this great lecturer developer. The Python course, I watched like 1 hour and it was brilliant for me. It was eye-opening experience. And after those, I tried to code something. I made a mobile application through Flutter, but my guts was shouting to me like, okay, let's learn Solidity because that was your background. Your failures were all in Solid, based on Solidity. You were belonging to this crypto world. So I learned Solidity like like 1 week. Who learns Solidity like 1 week? Nobody. So that was my worst ever assumption. And I started Coder. I started not Coderino, but digging into job applications. Like I am a now junior Solidity developer. I need to be more like up to senior I have.
Nice.
And that time I saw, I think Sherlock's job openings, and the requirement was like the applicant should have shown some rockstar performance on Code Arena. Okay, that moment was uh, changing my life because I clicked that link to see what is Code Arena, and I forgot Sherlock. I forgot about the job opening, and I sent one gas optimization to see if the Code Arena was a scam website or they were really nice guys. And you will not believe it was accepted. Alex has accepted that one. Even today, I see that gas optimization report, one single line, paying me 30 cents,
Nice.
having a comment of why I did it true, why it was correct. And it was my motivation ever. I mean, they say you have to meet the right people, right time, but sometimes you should be on the right, you should be with the right people, with the right place, even you don't need to meet them. So that was my story actually. I just grabbed some more courage by that one. I started digging, but anyway, I was interested in this security stuff. I'm having books of Kevin Mitnick. I'm a '90s guy, man. So I
Yeah, the
was watching the
legend.
movies of Kevin. Yeah. So it was all cool stuff for me because I was a bit close to the good guys who are brilliant, who has brilliant minds, and I still feel the same. Now I see the audience. I know a couple of people there in the audience now, and they're brilliant, and I'm happy, I can say.
Really good, brother. I have a few questions here. The first
Sure.
question is, how did you decide you're good enough to participate in audit contests?
Well, actually, if you leave that decision right now to me, I wouldn't start because I think ignorance is bliss because I did not know
Amazing
anything. So,
answer.
so I just stepped into because once you don't know anything, actually, that is the time that you are really encouraged. That's why I started.
Amazing answer, bro. Perfect answer. We feel like that pretty much all the time. We can start. I feel like that all the time. Let's go. The question for Jay is if we can get the presentation slides. I'm going to talk with Sorry after that. So Max has a questions. How do you know when to stop? Like, how do you know when you spend enough time on a particular piece of code function and now it's time to move on?
Okay, let me read this one.
You can click on the.
Yeah. I saw. Thank you, Max. Actually, uh, for my case, it's never sufficient because I know I am lacking of many things. I just had a shady auditing, and I just submit this type of submissions. I made a lot, not a good thing. This one I'm giving an example so that many people should not do that one. It gives only headache, I can say. It gives only a broken heart once they are invalidated, unless you have a strong heart. So if I don't do this pattern, if I focus, it's never enough. I can say I'm just typing my submissions, and I'm trying to make it. I'm trying to beautify it. I'm trying to make it beautiful. I'm trying to make her understandable for the guy who is in front of the other computer, and maybe he never reads a code, or he has no idea what is that one about. But in terms of auditing the code base, once I don't see that I am about to find something, I just quit because I need to spare time to the other contests. That is another dilemma actually in this competitive auditing.
Awesome, brother. Awesome. Let's go to the other question. The question from
Yeah, sure.
Ephraim. My question was centered on risk analysis. Whether a user or an investor, how do you know to make massive provisions or lesser, let's say one way, into the protocol to make massive rewards in return, or probably cause a denial of service along the line. I guess he's talking about, when you manipulate those staking protocols and do some yield stripping.
Yeah, okay, I see. Yeah, this is by the maths. I'm good at maths, and once I see these deposit functions, how they update the states, I can go a couple of minutes, maybe 1 hour max, and I can understand if it's going to be manipulated or not.
Awesome. Um, how long took you to find your first valid report since you started the journey?
1 week.
Fucking star, man. Next
Yeah, but this
question.
is
Go on.
this is I think this is the judge decision. He might have invalidated me. So for the proper one, I can say it takes another 3 months after you properly start to understand the code base, what that code base is speaking to you. And many times we miss that talks also. And I was considering I knew Solidity until October, and October I started digging more in documents, and I can again say I don't know Solidity. Today, again, if you show me some very complicated low-level Solidity code, I may be troubling to read that one as well. But I'm sure I will be reading that one. That's why I have taken the Spirit audit, the Spirit exam 2 times, and I failed. And it's okay, I believe. No shame on me because they're brilliant anyway.
Yeah, you're gonna be there soon, bro. You're gonna be a lead, so don't worry. Next question is, I think that Pashov said that he tries to understand the protocol and he could code it from scratch. As a coming from a non-developer background, do you go to this level of understanding too? Do you feel you can code from scratch most of the code you audited?
Yeah, thank you, Nisoro. And shout out to Pashov. He's a good friend of mine, and he's a very, very kind gentleman. I can say, good heart he has, and he has skills. I can say. Uh, I agree. You should be doing everything from the scratch so that you can visualize all the states, where the states are, where the interfaces are. But I don't trust myself that I can be developing a code base. Trust has a very good saying. He says the time when you're talking the same language with the code base, and actually you're not reading that code. You're really talking to the code. That time that can give many bug spotting moments to you.
Awesome. GM Hacker, you have a question?
I have no questions, but thank you very much.
That's what I'm gonna say, bro. I mean, this is it. We need to release Sorry. Sorry, you have any closing thoughts? Any message you wanna leave people?
Just don't do the mistakes that I made. Like part-time auditing is not give you anything. You just lose time, and don't mix beer and wine.
Awesome tip, bro. Um, thank you so much, everyone. This was really amazing, and see you guys later. Bye bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity.